Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Knicks Daily here. I did not expect the team to make a roster move yesterday, but they did. They ended up signing free agent point guard Terry Johnson, who last played with the Philadelphia 76ers and Milwaukee Bucks. We saw him in the playoffs, and overall he had his moments. Very good spark off of the bench. To me, this isn't the biggest deal in the world, and again, this is just my overall opinion. This is not coming from the Knicks organization. I believe the reason why we signed Payne, and yes, I know earlier I said Terry Johnson. If you get the joke, you get the joke. But overall, looking at Payne, he's a veteran. He's almost 30 years old at this point. In his career, he has averages of 8 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 37% three-point shooter. I am very high on Tyler Kolek. He, of course, signed a contract that guaranteed him the most money for a second-round pick ever. He looked great in the Summer League, had 7, 7, and 7. Kolek, he's 23 years old. He's not an ordinary rookie. He has a lot of collegiate experience. He elevated his game in the NCAA tournament, right? So I think this move is basically saying, hey, look, Payne's going to be our backup point guard. He's going to give us playmaking. He's going to give us some scoring and shooting until Kolek is ready. So that way we don't have to immediately thrust him into the lineup and expect a lot out of him. Looking at the Knicks last season, they played 5 games without Jalen Brunson, and they had an offensive rating of 109.4. In comparison with him on the court, it was 119.7. So that tells me that the Knicks simply just are not very good without Brunson. And the reason for that is because obviously Jalen Brunson's a superstar. He's a top 5 player in basketball, an MVP candidate, man, the greatest basketball player of all time. But it also tells me that Miles McBride clearly isn't a point guard. He's not a backup point guard. He's more of a 2 guard. McBride is not known for his playmaking. He's known for his ability to catch and shoot. Can shoot off the dribble. I'll give him that. Great defender, but he's not a playmaker. He's not going to come in and run the second unit. So that's why the Knicks had to go out there and get Payne. For all we know, maybe Payne ends up being a great fit, and he's the backup point guard the entire year. But to that point, what do you do with Miles McBride? You just put him at the 2, but we have Devo. We've got Josh Hart coming off of our bench, right? So I'm just very confused on how everything's going to play out. But hey, maybe the Knicks do trade Miles McBride for a big. I did hear a couple of reports about how potentially the Knicks could move McBride for a backup center. The name that came to mind was the big man from the Charlotte Hornets, Nick Richards. And I don't know why we would trade McBride for Nick Richards. That's why I didn't make a video on it, because I was like, there's no way I believe this. Even though it was from someone I trust, I was like, I don't even know if I believe that, bro. That sounds ridiculous, right? McBride, he has a lot of value, and I think he has a lot of potential. He's only 23, so hopefully we don't end up trading him. But now that we have Payne, McBride, and Kolek, I feel very confident in our backup guard position. Again, point guard position, not shooting guard position. We'll classify McBride as a point guard because he's listed as a point guard on the depth chart, even though we know he's a shooting guard. But what does this mean for the Knicks moving forward? Again, I pretty much just covered that. I think overall Payne is actually a very good pickup, because last season with Philly, he averaged 9 points, 3 assists. He shot 38% from 3 in 19.4 minutes across 31 games and 8 starts. Payne, he's just the type of guy that fits with our culture. I hate using this word as a grown man, but I'm going to do it anyway. The vibe between Payne and Bridges and Josh Hart and Brunson and Devo, I think they're going to click very well. You saw, of course, after the Knicks signed Payne, Mikal Bridges went to social media and posted a picture of him and Payne celebrating. This is more of just a guy who can do whatever the Knicks need off of the bench, but it's also a guy that's going to bring the spirits up for everyone in this locker room. And Payne just seems like a funny guy, man. Obviously, I've never spoke to him, but from what I've seen and read, he just seems like a very good guy with a good sense of humor. And I think he's going to fit well with the Villanova boys and just the rest of this roster. So the Knicks, they do have a summer league game. By the time you're watching this, they're probably playing, or they've already played. I'm recording this at, well, I'm over in Texas now. I don't live in New York, but 1:25 right now. It's 2:25 for you guys out there, of course, on the East Coast, which means that we're about 2 hours and 5 minutes away from the Knicks playing in the summer league. Our last game, I thought we played relatively inconsistent. The first quarter was trash. The next 3 were good, but because the first quarter was so bad, we lost that game. But there was a lot of takeaways, because we saw our G League and Tyler Kolek specifically go out there and play well. We saw Become Dadier. He ends up going out there and I believe he took 10 shots at the top of my head. He did throw up a couple of air balls, but again, he's 18 years old. Keep shooting the basketball, get better. That's what we're looking for. He's going to spend the season in the G League, of course. And then we also saw really a Knicks team that was resilient, that fought to the very end. It seemed like with 3 minutes left in that game, they'd had no chance, but all of a sudden, a couple of three balls, a couple of takeaways, and then, of course, we saw Jacob Toppin missed an alley-oop at the rim, tried to lay it in and missed it. But, yeah, overall, I was pretty pleased with the performance. I'd like to see more, though, because, again, it's the Summer League, and I want our rookies to go out there and to be aggressive and to not be afraid to get to their spots and to finish strong. And we do have a lot of raw rookies because, again, we had the 25th pick in a pretty poor draft, and then we had 3 second-round picks. So I don't expect them to go out there and to drop 25 and 7 or anything like that. But I just want to see us, of course, have a little bit more chemistry and be a little bit more cohesive, because I thought we were all over the place. Obviously, it's a summer league, so there wasn't like a set out there or anything. And we're also spoiled as Knicks fans from watching Jalen Brunson do basically everything and give guys open looks and score the basketball. Like Jalen Brunson in the last 5 minutes of the game is taking over, and I like my team's chances to win that every single time. But in the summer league, that's not really the case, right? It's a lot of guys essentially just competing with each other. For the Knicks regular season roster, they have a team that, again, is a team, and they're trying to win a championship. But in the summer league, you're trying to play well, so that way you can make the roster or make a roster. So the summer league to me it's cool, but it's also kind of lame if I'm being honest. I mean, it's really just like it's not really like the preseason, but it's just basketball, and it's cool to see our rookies go out there. But hopefully we can get a couple of wins here, because the last time we saw the Knicks in the summer league, I mean, they were going to the championship. Remember, they had IQ, and they had Grimes, and they had Obi Toppin, and yeah, it was a very good team. So yeah, Miles McBride, looking forward to seeing what the Knicks do the rest of the summer league. But really, outside of that, man, I'm just focused on the Knicks entering next season, because I want to see exactly how it plays out. Obviously, I want to see who we get at the backup center position, but I want to see how much of a difference Mikal Bridges makes. I want to see OG for a full season with the Knicks, and I want to see Julius Randle and what his role is going to be, because Randle, he's honestly, I don't want to call him a wild card because he's made the All-NBA team. He's a 3-time All-Star. But Randle, the last time we saw him, the Knicks were 14-2 in January. Randle was playing the most efficient basketball of his career. And I think legitimately, he has the potential to be the best player on the floor in a series against the Boston Celtics. We're going to talk about Tatum and Brown and Jalen Brunson, but I think Randle can be the best player of that group. Again, in a series, not for a whole 82-game regular season. But Randle, the last 7 games against the Celtics, he's put up incredible numbers. He's averaging around 26 a game, like 57% true shooting. Don't hold me exactly to those numbers, but it's around that, right? I read it, this is like 5-6 days ago, so I'm going off the top of my head. But Randle, I'm one of the few Knicks channels that isn't the biggest Randle fan, but I'm smart enough to know that, like, it's in front of my very eyes. I saw what he did, of course, after the first 13 games when he was recovering from an injury. I saw that the Knicks were winning games with him. I saw Randle plays that bully style of basketball. The knock that I have against Randle is that the ball seemed to move better when he was out, and the Knicks still won 50 games without him. So I'm kind of like, in Randle also in the playoffs, is that going to work out? But I think all we can do is just trust him, because if Randle ends up playing well, then that's obviously going to benefit the Knicks. But well, even if Randle doesn't play well, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he doesn't, he has that player option, so he picks that up, well, then it's expiring and they could trade him, I guess. Like, look at that way. But best case scenario is the Knicks get the Randle again that made the All-Star team. Despite the bad 13 games, like really bad, he still made the All-Star team. So yeah, I'm very high on this Knicks team. I think Randle's a huge piece of it. And the main reason why I'm totally cool with keeping Randle is because the Knicks are going to need a second option, right? They're going to need a legit second option to win a championship. And Mikal Bridges, as much as I like him, you're not winning a championship with him as your second option, which is why it's important that he's our third option and that our second options are a healthy Julius Randle. So that's all I got for you guys. It's your boy Swaggy signing out. Peace.